My name is Will, and this is my attempt at my first 50K Ultra at the Sulphur Springs Trail race.
Looking really strong though. Keep going.
So we're going to be documenting my journey and road to the 50K at Sulphur Springs Trail race. I'm going to be looking at my training, how I'm sort of preparing to get there, how I navigate all this running while running this business, being a physiotherapist, being a dad. We're going to look at things like fueling to get ready for my training sessions and how am I, planning for the actual event itself. We're going to be putting out different videos, hopefully be interesting and follow the journey along so you can kind of see how things are going. So if you want to stay tuned for that, subscribe to the channel, comment, let's hear from you. A little bit about myself, why I got into running. I grew up playing baseball, so I was always competing for many years. I competed at university for 4 years. I sort of got out of school. I kind of needed to take some time off of that competitive atmosphere and just do things aside from, just my identity as an athlete. I got through physio school, started working as a physiotherapist. I think just that time away made me start to crave having that competitive pursuit again, and working at the movement alongside, people like Dalton and Don and Jess who were running made me think, I wonder if this is something that I would like. I've always been more drawn to strength training and stuff like that, but I thought I would give it a shot. So I started running a few years ago before me and my wife had kids. I got a little spark for it. I did a little bit. I ran, a couple half marathons, did some trail running, did some road running. I realized I liked it. And last year, I'm not really completely sure what happened, but I just had a real drive to compete in something again, and not necessarily against other people, but more for myself, to have goals to strive for. And I really wanted to show my kids what can be done as you're getting older, and that I still have a drive to a better version of myself. Last year, I sort of just committed to doing a marathon. It was something I was really drawn to doing. I did that, and that was a lot of fun. It was what I needed last year, but I've always been drawn in a different way to trail running and being out in the forest. When I grew up, I was always in the escarpment on the trails, and there's something that just draws me to being in the woods. For me, there's something so amazing about not just the events and stuff, but the time spent alone out in the forest, and just gives me this peace and quiet and sense of adventure that I think really just resonates with me. I sort of got drawn to how far can I run, and maybe I can actually compete against some people out there and do pretty good at this. I feel like I can. So the 50K, was just a little bit of more modest increase. Ultimately, I think I want to run a little bit further down the road. But, I'm drawn to that distance that scares me a little bit. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something where I'm like, okay, can I do this? I'm not sure. I think that's going to elevate me as a person and therapist and dad. So that's why I'm pursuing the 50K. So I really love the Sulphur Springs loop because I think it's got a little bit of everything. I also just think it's one where you can run it somewhat fast. There's some hills and some challenges, but it's not super technical on the trail. And so there's pieces along the way where you can pick up the pace. I also just think the conservation area is beautiful, and it's such an awesome trail to run. There's a lot of variety, a lot of different just feelings you get running along that trail. It's amazing that we've got it right here. And also our team and our community, a lot of people we know through the movement are also going to be there, and that's something that fires me up. I think whenever it comes to something like a marathon or, you know, a distance you've never achieved, the number one goal is to finish it without getting injured, you know? So that's number one, is just to simply finish. It's tough to say a little bit because, you know, I've never run that distance, so it's hard to know what time to strive for. But I think 5 hours is something I've kind of put out there. And I think I'll learn more through the training and as I do more runs, like what's a little bit more realistic. I think that's my goal. Complete it, and then let's pencil in 5 hours right now.
We're going to be documenting your kind of journey across this ultra marathon prep. Like, what are you hoping people get out of watching the series we're going to put out?
You know, what I'm hoping is that people see it and maybe they can learn some stuff about the training and, you know, how I approach it, but more so to go, hey, like I'm no different than anybody. I'm just a normal person, but I have a drive to get better and to pursue a better version of myself and just to learn about myself through competing and through training. And so I hope people just take that as a little bit of inspiration, motivation to, you know, pick some audacious goals for themselves and to try to make themselves better and like realize they're capable of more than they think. So today on the books we have a little bit of a tempo workout. I think we're calling it a fartlek, which basically means we're going to do a little warm up and then we're going to get into the workout, which is going to be a couple minutes of faster running, basically. No necessarily like set pace, but a little bit faster. And then a couple minutes of, you know, just a little bit more of a casual run. And we're going to repeat that 6 times. Then we're going to cool down and wrap it up.
All right, guys, this is where I insert myself into the vlog. My name is Dalton, one of Will's friends and business partners. And I'm going to be filming most of this series. So you're going to hear my voice and see my face from time to time. But today we are out in the Arctic tundra. Not really a great day to be doing some speed work, but we're gonna get after it and have some fun.
Yeah, I was saying, I had a dream running the Sulphur race. Felt so real. And I woke up and I'm like, what time of year is it? Look outside, it's snowing. And I'm like, guess we're not quite there yet. But you gotta visualize, you know? I think it's a good sign if you start dreaming a little, you know?
What are you envisioning for today's workout?
Speed workout? I'm envisioning staying upright.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's the main goal for today. I do feel like that's half the battle with like prepping for something is just staying running as long as you can, you know? Meaning avoiding worrying too much about the short term and worrying more about the totality of your training and just getting out there consistently without getting hurt, you know? And if you do start getting hurt a little bit, just making some adjustments and being okay with pulling back slightly is ultimately not going to ruin your whole training as long as you have been consistent for the most part.
I run a speed run as a 50k ultra marathoner.
That's a good question. Well, if you want to get faster, which I do, you have to practice. And also something that I've learned from you, you feel so exhausted at the end, you know, of a race like that. Like, even just drawing off my marathon experience, like there's nothing like that 35k mark in that run. And I think even more so than just like speed, it's like just getting used to being tired and your legs feeling tired, like you want to stop, and still being able to pick up the pace if that's what you need to do. So it's as much like I'm just getting used to that feeling And that's what I think a lot of the workouts do. And also just kind of understanding how you feel, you know, when you're running faster, like how do you feel? So you can get a better indication of like what your plan should be going into the run, to the actual race.
He's right. We're almost done the warm up and then we'll be into the speed. My hand's cold, so I'm gonna put my glove back on.
One, you know, not that I have to run a certain pace on like this workout, but I have like an idea of what I want to try, and I'm way off with just knowing how fast I'm running because I haven't been doing speed workouts, and that'll get more accurate over time.
What was your pace there?
Like I started off way too slow, like 5:30,
Yeah.
and then it was like 4:30. I was trying to be at like in between that. So
Is the goal to kind of average the same pace across all 6 sets? Is that what you're looking for?
similar, yeah, somewhere 4:45 to 5 probably.
Nice.
That's a little bit better. A little bit more on. It does feel different though, you know. Haven't been running on the road because just over the last couple months, just kept some maintenance running and mostly running in the trail. So much different than running on the road. Just the rhythm you can get out here is much faster than you think, you know. Coming off the trail, like the trail, it's much harder to pick up a pace. It's much different, especially in the snow. I think is important to consider when it comes to like speed workouts is you also have to have enough base of volume in your training to be able to manage the intensity increase. But you also have to have varied enough runs where you're not just running the same pace all the time. Because if you're running too fast too often, it tends to break you down, you know? Whereas, you know, I feel good for this run. I don't feel like it's that stressful, even though I'm picking it up. Because most of my runs are pretty chill, you know?
So we got one more.
One more.
Does this mean we just run as fast as we can until we can't for the last rep?
I mean, obviously, right?
Last rep, fastest rep.
I always like to think about, like, what are the takeaways from, like, a workout, you know? And, like, one thing is, I'm not that dialed on, like, what I think my pace is, what it actually is. I ran a little too fast at the start, and it is getting harder toward the end. Like, the last one, I looked and I was going too slow. So I think there's something to learn from that, because you definitely don't want that to happen at your race. It's no big deal now, because that's what training is for. But that will not happen at the race.
Interval's done.
Interval's complete. Something I've been thinking about is this is all the stuff that I do think about during my runs. Not thinking about work, not thinking about my other problems, just trying to be in the moment and think about my running. And I think that's important. Like, that's part of the reason I like it as a chronic overthinker. And to someone whose mind is always on something. And, you know, I go home, my kids are crazy and keep me, you know, constantly doing stuff. And so when I'm on my run, it's just an opportunity for me to just be focused on that one thing. And it's part of the reasons I love it so much. It just naturally does that. So it's a good run.